And we're live. Sorry about the late start, folks. We're having some connection issues, but I think we got them worked out. If not, we'll make do. We always do. How's everybody? Hopefully, everybody had a wonderful weekend. I had a long weekend, but I'm here. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to talk to tonight's guest. So why don't I start by saying hello to everybody? I know I want to say hello to Brandon, to Brandon and Betty. I know they'll be watching either tonight or after the fact. What's up, you two? How you doing? Say hello to D, Katie, James Dockery, obviously Lyle. What's going on, folks? How you doing? Chad, how you doing? D again. I think I said D. I might have messed that up. Carmel Muncie in the house. What's up, Carmel? There's the great Miss Cindy Stokes. How you doing, Cindy? There's crew member Avid. How you doing? What's going on, Avid? Let me put this up here to thank all my supporters here. I appreciate you guys. What's up, Avid? How you doing? Avid got a fish this week, 40-something pounds, I think upper 40s. Congratulations, Avid. Good job. There's Creole Catfishing. What's going on, Jeremy? How you doing? Dale Hayslip in the house. El Catfish Grande. How you doing? There's Richard over at Fish and Freedom, also a crew member. Welcome. There's my buddy Keith over at Fish and Stuff. If you haven't checked out his channel or you haven't checked out the show, if you got a YouTube channel, me and Keith talked a little bit about how to save your YouTube channel or how to move it forward. That was on last week. You can go back in the channel and watch that. I highly recommend it. A lot of good information there. Fishing with Squirrel in the house. What's going on, bud? Joe Ziegler. John Boy's catfishing. He was getting a little antsy, Dave, but we told him what was going on. What's going on? John Boy. Freddie's Outdoors Adventures. Congratulations on your second place in your catfish tournament. Oh, look at this. Freddie with the $5 super chat too. Thank you very much, Freddie. I appreciate you, brother. Joe Ziegler, John Boys. Lance McCoo. What's up, Lance? How you doing? Saw Lance on screen on Brian B's tournament, Midnight Madness. I'll be fishing that. We'll talk a little bit about that before we get started. There's Look Lady. Mark, is that a Barnum? What's up, Mark? How you doing? Maurice Kaysen. What's up, Maurice? How you doing? Mike Irvin. How you doing, Mr. Irvin? How you doing? There's Kevin over at Palmetto Cats Adventures. Palmetto keeps changing his name. I gotta pay attention here. Silver Fox Fish and Sandy. What's up, dear? Trophy Seekers Outdoors. How you doing, Daryl? Want to be outdoors? Whisker Dreams in the house. Real Gals Fish crew member. What's going on, dear? How you doing? Let's see if I missed anybody. Chris Everett in the house. How you doing, Chris? Corn Fed Experience. How are you? Dale Hayslip, Double Hook Angling. We'll be talking to Double Hook Angling on Panfish Nation this Thursday night. Make sure you check that out. I'm looking forward to being on that show as well. Let's see. Squirrel, I said hello. John Boys. Keith, Doc Reed. What's going on, Keith? How are you, sir? LG Bass in the house, crew member. What's going on, LG? How are you? Creole Catfishing with the $9.99 super chat. Thank you very much. Freddie, see you. I'll see your 5 and raise you 5. I appreciate the super chats. Palmetto. Parker Pursuits in the house. Parker, what's going on? He's part of the Mississippi River Rats. They're on live every Saturday night. I was a guest on there. There's my buddy Ricky, Solo Text Adventures. How you doing? Tinkerbell V-Blog in the house. See, I told you, Dave, they start coming in. They like to show a little late. They want to be fashionably late. Welcome to the Catfish and Crappie Podcast. My name is Mark. How's everybody doing today? I got a great guest. What's going on? David Arnold's his name. DaveAllOver is his channel's name. Oh, my God. I rhymed. I promised never to do that, Dave.
That's okay.
That's kind of cringy. Sorry to do that to you. There's Jesse over at Outdoor Addiction. What's going on, Jesse? How are you? I do want to make sure I give a big shout out to all the channel members. I adore you. I appreciate the support. You help make the channel possible. I also want to give a big shout out to my company supporters, the channel supporters. We got Uncle Lou's Tackle, of course, Multi-Bar, bar none. Get it, bar none. Probably the best catfishing rod holders out there, and also my good buddy Jimmy Forbes over at Port Barrington Marina. Without them, they would make getting content and whether it's TikToks or future videos a lot more difficult. So I appreciate them very much. So how are you doing, Dave?
I'm doing good, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for coming on. The pleasure's all mine, my friend. Little bit, we'll talk a little bit about how I came up or how I found you. I know that Richard over at Fish and Freedom has been posting your educational type content on Facebook for quite some time, and we'll get to that. But then my buddy Setting Hooks and Crossing Eyes texted me and said, "Hey, you got to check out this video." And it was your video on flathead spots. Redbeard, also known as Setting Hooks and Crossing Eyes. He knows that I love fishing for flatheads. I'm not the greatest at it, but I try. I'll grind it out. He knows that I got a passion for chasing those fish, and he pointed it out to me, and I'm like, I got to get Dave on my show. Absolutely, 100%. Bud. So, tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? What do you do for other than fishing? Anything like that? How'd you get started?
So I live in Indiana, the southern part, and when I was about 5 or 6 or so, my grandfather and my father, they decided it was time that I would come into the fold of what my family did back then, which was run trout lines, bank lines, and chase flatheads during the daytime mostly. So I guess you could say that I was a river rat before it was cool. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that'll happen. So you ran a lot of bank lines and a lot of trout lines back in the day?
Oh, a lot. Probably 60, 70 hooks, usually in one night. We'd run them 2 or 3 nights a week. So
that's a lot of work. That's a lot of bait.
It's a ton of work. Yeah.
It's a debated topic and stuff. And I know that some people do it for fun, and they do a lot of CPR even with that. And a lot of people do it to put meat on their table and in their freezer. I don't judge as long as they stay within the regulations. I'm good with it. If you don't like the regulations, you should probably change them. I'm a firm believer in that. So
absolutely. I knew the trot line and bank line would essentially die with my grandfather. You know, once he was gone, I knew that I wasn't going to do it anymore, mostly for conservation reasons. And plus, I mean, it was always fun to get there and check the lines in the morning, and you'd have a big fish or you'd have a bunch of fish, and that's always fun. But there's nothing like catching them on a rod and reel.
Yeah, you know that. I imagine it probably only compares to like Christmas morning when you head out there and you got a big old flathead. Yeah, I get it. It's that excitement, especially when you're young too. And you know, I want to remind the people in chat back in the day, there was a heck of a lot less people on this planet and fishing. So I mean, we do need to adapt our fishing styles, definitely. So that being said, now you had mentioned the bank lines and the trout lines, and it's really makes a lot of sense to me after watching your one video, because you're a pretty big proponent of fishing right in the shallow water, right up near the shore, and that's pretty much what using diddy poles or bank lines. Trout lining's a little different. I've seen people do it both different ways depending on the river, but would you agree to that?
Absolutely. We would even put bank lines on sandbars. And then, you know, sandbars that were, I mean, you're talking sandbars that are sloped at, 15 degrees. So, you're looking 2 feet out of that sandbar. It's still only a foot deep. And that's where we put our baits, big live baits. So, yeah, absolutely. I love shallow water. It's funny when you guys watch my videos. I love to explain things. I love that everybody knows exactly what I'm thinking, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. My father and my grandfather were not those kinds of people. Like, they wouldn't explain things. And I remember one day I asked my grandfather why we put our big baits always on the first 2 hooks. And in his fashion, he just kind of, just glanced up at me and looked back down, and almost as if he was talking to himself, he said, because that's where the big fish are. So that always stuck with me. And so I've always fished for big fish, big flatheads in shallow timber, and really not even, it doesn't have to be timber. It can be anywhere. So just shallow water.
I went through the same thing with my grandfather. I would ask him why, and he would never have an answer. And then as I got older, I started to think that he didn't have one. It's just what worked, so there's always that too. Now with unless you want to tell us what river you fish, you don't have to. What kind of depths are we looking at?
I'm usually within 18 inches to 4 feet.
Okay.
That's about where I am, and I don't have a problem. I fish the East Fork of White River.
Okay.
So it spans probably 2/3 to probably between half and 2/3 of the state sideways of Indiana. So
yeah, I cut my teeth river fishing on my own, mind you, on the tip of canoe, like in central Indiana. I wasn't chasing flathead, but I was chasing, wipers and white bass. I was chasing channel cats at night and stuff like that. I wish I knew they had flatheads in there. They were a little further down on the lake, but and I don't think there's anything of size. There's a gentleman called I think it's been a while since I watched this channel. I think it's the Indiana Outdoorsman or Indiana Fisherman. I'm not quite sure, but he's located out of that section of Indiana. And I remember watching him catch some flatheads and even some crappie out there on Lake Schaefer and going, man, I don't know how I missed that. Kind of kicking myself for missing that. So
yeah, I actually get quite a bit of messages from people, mostly upstate Indiana, where they either don't have flatheads or so on, and they're wanting to come down here and fish my rivers, and I don't have a problem telling people. I mean, it's a big river, so but actually, you got the East Fork and the West Fork. The West Fork actually runs up pretty high in Indiana, up around Indianapolis, and goes a little bit, I think, all the way to Muncie, Indiana. But there's flatheads all the way through Indiana. So
there's my Fox River buddy, Jonathan. What's going on from Hooked Catfish? I think he's talking about you. I'm not so sure he likes me. So
I love that guy too. I love his channel. I think it's great.
Jonathan's a good dude. He's been doing it for quite some time. So I see him every now and then. I got a chance to fish up north with him one time, and it was cold and it was windy up in Madison. we had some fun there. I didn't do very good that day, but he did all right. Like the last 30 minutes he put on his side of the boat. Man, that's just my luck too. Put 3 big channel cats in there, but it was a good time hanging out with Jonathan, definitely. And he's been slaying the flatheads all year already. So.
Oh yeah. He's had a good year so far for sure.
He does good. He grinds. He's out there all the time. So
yeah.
If you're ever up this way, I'm sure we can get a fishing party together. We'll go out there and get on some. Absolutely.
Love to. Now, is that area that he fishes, is that like a lake or a river?
No, it's a river. It's I'll let, if you want to know, talk to him. I fished the Fox River, which he does, and he does heck of a lot more traveling than I do. So I can't guarantee you that his video's there or it's not. I don't like to give that kind of information out. But
yeah, I always look for current, and I always watch his videos, and I'm like, is that water moving or is it not moving? And I'm always trying to pick people's places apart, not like where they are, but just why are you?
Why are you there? Yeah. The Fox River is hit or miss, the section that I fish. Either there's current or not. This time of year, there's barely any current. It's kind of hard to tell. So you got to get out there early and figure out where those seams are, because they're still there. They're just not as identifiable later on in the season. So you kind of learn, you get your spots down just like anything. Finding new spots are a lot of times, like you saw me on Saturday night. I tried dragging baits at night. I'm not going to do that again, but
you're brave. I was watching that and I was like, why doesn't he turn around? Like I thought, I didn't know if you would hit something, or I just thought, wow, you must know that river pretty well to do that.
I know it all right, and a lot of times I'll drive it by GPS. That's how I get on that river.
Yeah.
Like, Jonathan was just saying we got like half a mile an hour current, if that. I would bet, inside turns, there's probably nothing. It gets kind of stagnant in some parts, which is good for flathead fishing, depending on the other factors. But I won't do that again. At least I won't do it live. I'll do it for a video or something. It's just the mechanics of it were kind of difficult when you got a cell phone broadcasting live that doesn't have a dark mode, and every time you turn around you get blinded by the light. I like fishing in the dark, by the way, so it just works better. It's a little more relaxing on the eyes or whatever. So all right, so but back to that would Yeah, I won't do that again. Anyway, I did get a couple of channel cats, no flathead, but I think on my section for some reason, and I could be wrong, I very well probably am wrong. I think my section of river, the spawn started a lot later than south of me. Because I was seeing pictures of spawned out fish, and I put 10 on the boat before I thought that spawn started, and I didn't see a single spawn mark on any of them. Granted, there weren't any monsters or anything, but you know, some of them were big enough, 20 pounders, 22 pounders, that they should have some sort of a spawn marks on them. Let's see, we got some comments here in chat. Jonathan says, I love the way he picks apart and explains things. We need more channels like that, especially regards to flathead. I agree.
So yeah, that I was just going to elaborate just a little bit on why I did like. I really got on YouTube and I started looking at the way you'd look at the title of a video and it would say how to catch flathead catfish during this, during that, but most of the time there would be on structure, but you couldn't actually see the structure, or they would explain to you what's going on out in front of you, and they would cast their baits out, and to me it just looked like they were bombing them, and they would put one over here, put one there, put one over there, and my question was like, well, how close are you to that log or that log? I mean, if I'm new to this, like I have no idea. So are you 6 feet away? Are you 16 feet away? Are you 6 inches away? I know where I would be, but I'm like, where are you? So it was just little things like that I wouldn't say annoyed, but I just wanted to make a video where somebody came there and I knew they were going to get something out of it. So.
I'll admit when I started flathead fishing, I went a whole season and a half before I caught one.
Yeah,
it took me that long. And here's the kicker: I was bank fishing that whole time, and I was literally on the wrong side of a 100-yard stretch of river. We went over to the other side of the river, and it was on after that.
Yep.
We started learning and how picky these fish are, and how hard, how much of a difference their location makes more than anything. I mean, I don't know, I could be wrong too, but I think a flathead will hit almost any bait that's alive, kicking and moving.
Absolutely. They don't care what it is at all. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm a big proponent. I like bullheads and I like carp, and a lot of the reasons I like them live, by the way, smaller ones, is they kick all night. I ain't having to worry about them. I'm not having to swap out baits or whatever, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to use bluegill, which is what I've been using mainly this year, as long as you make sure they're still moving, because a bluegill will lay over and just kind of lay there after you want to.
Yeah, I definitely don't prefer a bluegill. It's probably like if I had to pick 10 baits, bluegill would probably be at the bottom of them. But sometimes that's all you get. But yeah, I really like anything that has vibration. I honestly believe that flatheads at nighttime that's really what they're tuned in for. They're really tuned in to vibration. I think that's what really makes their clock tick at night. I mean, I think obviously you've got scent and other things like that, but I really think vibration is where it's at. I
do too. I mean, I've caught a lot of flatheads on live bait. I've caught a few and my PB on cut bait. So I don't know. And I catch them dragging baits too during the day, but smaller ones. I haven't got on any big monsters dragging baits during the day, which is why I went back to why I wanted to try it at night, just to see what would happen.
Yeah.
So, a lot of times at night, I'm looking to catch them on the move, So.
Oh yeah. Nighttime is like you get like a lot of times I like to film during the day. And I spent most of my life fishing for flatheads during the day. I didn't actually do it a lot at night. All those years, 30 years I spent on that river up until this point. It's been almost 30 years. I almost never did it at nighttime. It was almost always in the daytime. But I learned from the times that I did it, fishing for them at night, it really almost plays by a different set of rules that I think is really interesting. So.
It gives it actually gives meaning to the term night and day, right? That's how big the difference is, right? I mean, technically, I'm thinking that's where it is.
They really are night and day. Yeah, 100%.
My buddy David Martin. David was Flathead Slayer. He's been on it for a while. He's kind of taking a little break, but he says in our lakes they like cut bait. Almost everyone I've caught were on cut bait. Bluegill, especially the heads.
Mm-hmm.
See, it really is different. I know. And here's another comment by Jonathan. He says the muskie of catfish.
Very well said. Yeah,
that caught my eye because I got a couple of muskie buddies that ask me why I fish for flathead. And I tell them, they're as hard as a muskie to catch technically, but you got to put your back into them once you get hooked up. You pretty much really do, and they get upset when you kind of emasculate them that way. So
yeah, catching a flathead out of a lake is a monster unto itself.
Yeah, they get kind of fat and lazy in a lake, don't they?
Well, I would definitely say their metabolic rate is much lower, but that's not the only reason. I mean, when a flathead sets up on a piece of structure in the river, it's basically oriented towards the current. When a flathead sits on a piece of structure in a lake, it's oriented towards whatever the heck.
Whatever way.
Like. Yeah. And it might be 5 feet off that structure. It might be facing the completely wrong. I mean, where do you put your bait? That's the problem. That's the problem I've always had with doing it. They're very. I mean, just finding one is hard enough, and now in a lake, you have no idea what direction it's looking. Nothing. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, that's definitely a big difference. That's one of the reasons why my grandfather always used to tell me he liked fishing rivers because he knows which way the fish are pointed. Right? Yeah. For the most part. Yeah. I mean, I even watch a gentleman called, Wisconsin trout fisherman or Wisconsin trout fishing. And he's always walking into the current, throwing those spinner baits up there, and them trout are always facing forward. He's always sneaking up on them from behind. So Cody says, DaveAllOver, what's your biggest flathead?
About 45.
That's a nice flathead.
Yeah,
that is a nice flathead. So.
We caught a lot bigger ones back when we were doing trot lines and bank lines, and we actually caught 146 on a rod and reel, but I didn't actually land it and I didn't actually hook it, so I don't count it.
Is that the one that you have a video on your?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Now, did you say that was your son that caught that?
Yeah, it was sort of like he reeled it in for most of the way. I kind of helped him a little bit. He'd actually never fought a big fish before like that. And so I was kind of explaining to him how, you need to take everything he gives you. And whenever he wants to take a little, just let him have it. And then when he's done, you take all you can. And I kind of had to show him a little bit, but he did a really good job. And he actually caught that fish. So, yeah.
Don't ever let that line go slack. I learned that the hard way in my last video. So.
Yeah.
I had a bad hook set, and as soon as I let a little bit of slack when I went to go net him, he was gone. I broke my heart, but we're not going to talk about that. Hook Catfish says, I've noticed there's always a bite window right when the sun goes down. Get them moving. I agree.
Yeah.
I think that we have a couple of bite windows here on the Fox that I've noticed, and it's usually in 2-hour increments in a certain section of the river, the one that I bank fish mostly, and I think that's just because it takes them that long to swim from dam to dam or spillway to spillway.
Yeah, I really like an hour before daylight or an hour before dark and an hour after dark. That's probably my absolute favorite.
Cornfed Experience says 52 is my PB flathead. That's a heck of a fish.
The giant.
Everybody's saying hello to everybody. What's going on, folks? I agree with me or not. I think, I've gotten some bigger ones. I think my PB flathead, I don't think fought as hard as like a 30-pounder. For some reason, I think like a 30-pounder fights like a linebacker.
Yep.
And the other one,
that 45 we pulled in, I really messed up the filming on it. I normally sit there with my camera off, so I assumed that's what I was doing. So as soon as that fish bit, boom, I hit the record button. It actually shut my camera off like an idiot. And I didn't realize it until after I was trying to get the money shot when I'm reaching down over this bank to pull this thing out. I realized that my GoPro's off. But anyways, that fish, when I was fighting it to kind of show him, give him a little tutorial on how to do this, I was thinking 25, 30 the whole way. 25, 30 pounds. I knew it just wasn't fighting. It made a couple hard runs. I was just really unimpressed, to be honest with you, with how easily we got that to the bank. So, yeah.
And that's the thing about Flathead people. We don't like to give away a lot of secrets, to be honest with you. It's a pretty competitive bunch. I'll be the first to admit it. I'm a little more open than a lot of the guys that I know that I talk to. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I guess we'll find out when they talk about me after I'm gone. But other than that, but it's good to hear stories and things that confirm what you believe and what's worked for you and what hasn't worked for you. Definitely. Which probably was self-serving reason why I wanted to get you on the show.
Yeah.
G-Style Fishing says, Dave, what spot do you look for to fish all night?
I look for a sandbar, if possible, a sandbar, but that's mostly for comforting reasons. But, I really like to sleep on a sandbar. But usually anything that's between 18 inches and 3 foot deep within 100 feet upriver of structure. That is my absolute favorite. Current it could go either way. I don't really care. Just I need a little bit of depth, and I need the more structure the better. But yeah, about 100 feet upriver in some shallow water. That's like, to me, is ideal.
And Hook Catfishing says again, people don't realize how hard it is to film fishing. It's even harder to film flathead fishing. Tell me that isn't the truth. It's incredible. It's just when you get that bite or whatever, you're either not taking a break or you kind of let your guard down or something. That they seem to know when to.
Yeah, I made a comment in that video when me and my son were sitting there. I was trying to get all my lights together and everything, and I just looked at him and I said, I just get plumb stupid when I catch fish like this. And I do. Like, I couldn't even think. I was fumbling through my bags and everything. But yeah, it's tough.
Well, we can talk about that after the show. Fishing Freedom, what's going on? Richard says, my PB flathead is 42 pounds. Felt like a train on an old ugly stick. Wow. I brought that one up not only to congratulate Richard, but what's your gear of choice when you're chasing them?
So if I'm kind of stuck, I'm just going to start with the hooks because I want to get it out of the way. I'm sort of experimenting, testing circle hooks. I don't feel like I can tell someone, honestly, don't use them until I have thoroughly gone through it. But if I had to really pick, I would have like a 9 or a 10-aught J octopus hook, period.
You like them octopuses, huh?
Yes, absolutely. I love to snail everything. But I usually, if I'm fishing like really thick structure, my leaders are between 8 and 6 inches long. Very short leaders. Usually 3 or 4 ounces of weight on a sinker slide. I'm using 40-pound abrasion resistant mono leader, and I'm using 40-pound mono mainline. I actually use an ugly stick. One of my rods is an ugly stick. It's a 7-foot medium heavy, and the other one is a Bass Pro brand King Cat 7-foot medium heavy. And I use 2 Pin Warfare 20 LWs as reels.
Okay, I got a couple of those 20s. I don't use them enough, but I'm one of them Abu fanboys. But
they're great reels. So
I just picked up a Citrix. What is it? A 350 in Okuma, and I'm really starting to like that reel, especially for doing some float fishing. I like to get some floats out there. Patriot James sells them. There's a couple other companies that do, and I kind of use them all. I really enjoy them. So they help you, especially with current and stuff. I don't need to get too close to a brush pile or a log jam, I should say. And there's the crappie part of the channel coming through, and disturb them. I try not to do that. I'll try to float baits in before I kind of get in there and pick them apart. So sorry about that. My dog's causing trouble here. What was I going to say? Cornfed Experiences. He's telling us about his favorite setup. He says Mad Cats with an Abu spooled with 40-pound mono big game. A lot of people love that big game. It's been proven over a long period of time. I know a lot of people that use that stuff for leaders and stuff. I'm still using Braid. I use 832. Everybody knows this because I talk about it all the time. But I'm not against trying some mono. I might do that. We'll see. But the problem is, Dave, I got like 4,000 yards of a braid sitting in my garage. What am I going to do with all that if I make the switch?
Use it.
I'm going to use the hell
Use
out
it
of it.
all.
Seems to work. So
Yeah, we take a look at a guy like Spencer. That's all he uses. So, I mean,
well,
he has mono leaders. So.
I noticed he switched over to a mono as of late. I think that's because he's using those pens.
Yeah.
Or the Okuma cold waters, I think he's using now. I know a lot of guys use them. He's guiding though. That could have something to do with it.
Could be.
Yeah, cost of braid can be prohibited, especially when you got a bunch of customers using your gear and stuff. So,
yeah.
I had I did a master class with Dave Werner of he's a Whisker Seekers guide. He's a pro staffer and a guide in Iowa, and he was he's pretty bright dude. He was telling me that braid is pretty much a little less mistake ridden. It all depends who you're talking to. A lot of people think that you got all sorts of abrasion problems, and that could very well be with the type of braid they're using. I know that 832's got like a coating on it. It almost feels slick. So I've never had a problem. It could be my water too. So
if my mainline mono touches anything, it has abrasions. So obviously, to me, it's the amount of strength it can hold with abrasions. That's really what you're using mono for. It's they both will have abrasions on the same piece of structure, but it really depends on the mono actually holds its value a little bit better. That's the only reason I really use it. So
man, I've had a hard time breaking mono. I've broken rods trying to break 40-pound mono.
Yeah.
It's it ain't easy.
Yeah, I don't want to get higher than that.
And what kind of leader are you using? The same kind of weight for a leader? Were you using a heavier or a lighter leader?
No, I use the exact same.
The exact same?
The exact same, 40-pound, but it's a abrasion resistant line. It's just a little bit. When I switched over to it, I went from having to retie every fish or two to now I retie every 3 or 4 fish. So I'm pretty happy with it.
Brian B., I want to thank you for your support. He says he's been a member for 14 months. Holy smokes. Time flies when you're having fun. I still haven't figured out how to highlight those member accomplishments, guys, so I apologize, but I do appreciate you. And Danny Stone Outdoors just came in. He's another guy down in Missouri. He fishes the Mississippi. So do you travel to fish at all?
I don't. I pretty much, that river is 2 miles from my house, man. I don't need to go anywhere. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm not really a blue cat guy, but I've had a couple of people ask me if I want to go do that on the Ohio. Mm-hmm. To me, it would probably be one of those things I'd be happy doing one time, and then I've done it. I want my flatheads and my channel cats back. That's probably how that would go.
Pontoon Jody with the $4.99 super chat. I appreciate you. She says, Catfish and Crappie, one of the best fishing shows on YouTube. I don't know if I believe that, Dave, but I will take it. Thank you, Jody. I appreciate the kind words. Let's see. We got people talking about the different line and stuff. Yeah, I don't travel much either. We don't have blue cats. You have blue cats out by you, don't you?
We do. We don't have a ton of them. Most of the ones you're going to catch in my river are going to be between 5 and probably 20 pounds. It's going to be your average.
Okay. And how long have they been there? Were they just recently added, or have they always been that size?
Yeah, forever.
Forever they've been that way? Because usually everything that I don't know. I probably guessed this, but anything I've heard always led me to believe that they'll take a water system over and keep going and keep going. But if you guys got a lot of people taking fish, so that might have something to do with it too.
I mean, I don't know if that's what it is. There's really never been a lot of them. I just don't know if the channel cats. I really don't know. I don't know why. I don't want to act like there's definitely more channels than there is blues. And there's probably more blues than there is flatheads, but not by a lot. So,
and that just goes to show how different each body of water is. I know a couple of body of waters where, they put blue cats in there and the channel cats have all but disappeared.
Yeah. Yeah.
My buddy Has over at Has Life, he put like a 7-pound channel cat on the bank last, Saturday while he was on a live on TikTok. And he was excited as heck, like he's never seen it. So, Hey, there's another member for 9 months. Crappie Day Fish On. What's going on, my friend? How you doing? He says, great show. I appreciate you. He's been showing up all the time. I do want to remind everybody that Dave's link for DaveAllOver, forgive me for that, is in the description. If somebody would be kind enough, one of my mods, to post that on there, make sure you go check out Dave's channel. He's got a lot to show you. He's got a lot to teach you. In his latest video, he was just granted some access to a bunch of land. He's even out there scouting that land. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to be friends here with Dave. Maybe he'll invite me down there. Don't worry, Dave.
Absolutely.
As I should, but that'd be cool. Thank you, Ricky, for posting that link. If you're listening to this on the podcast, I'll make sure to put a link to his channel on there in the description as well as the podcast. So go over there, check the description. Also, if you're listening to the podcast, I would appreciate you guys to give me 5-star rating. I'd really like it. It'll help get the word out a little more. It'll help me reach a lot more people, and it's always appreciated. So. And there's your link right there. Thank you, Ricky, for posting that, everybody. So make sure you check that out. I want to remind people, when you go check out a creator on YouTube, that you watch some of their content. I wouldn't recommend anybody that I didn't think you would enjoy. If you like catfishing, chances are you really like flathead fishing. And I'm pretty confident that you're going to like. So once you watch some of his videos, make sure you subscribe, give him a thumbs up too. Hey, there's my buddy Chewie over at Old Carver Fishing Podcast. He's going to be a guest, I believe, either next week or the week after that. I'll have to check my dates, but keep tuned in for that. Chewie's a good guy out of the state of Minnesota. There's a place I wouldn't mind going flathead fishing, is up there on the Mississippi River.
I think that would be super cool. I've always heard about cold water flatheads, and it's such, I mean, I wouldn't say it gets hot here, but it's a little warmer than Minnesota, and seeing videos of people pulling through the ice, I just think that's super cool.
Well, flathead through the ice, don't believe that. I've had a couple conversations with people that really know what they're talking about, and namely, especially guys like Luke over at Fish on Luke. He they go catatonic, or they go into hibernation mode in winter. If they're getting them through the ice, they're snagging them, or they got extremely lucky and it was a one-off. So I know Pig Patrol's girlfriend pulled one up through the ice. He was really excited.
I saw that, and I think it was either the end of that episode or it was the very next episode. I think he went ahead and told everybody that, hey, I'm pretty sure that was foul hooked, but nonetheless, I mean, I thought it was interesting that flathead was in such shallow water in the middle of winter. So
I shouldn't say this. I know of one wintering hole here locally that I came across on accident, right? Like at the beginning of winter, and they were stacked in there, and it was literally 2 feet deep, Dave.
Really?
I never went back. I don't want to be seen in that spot. I never went back. That was a few years back though too. I'm sure they go back like they do every year, but I was scouting for bank fishing spots like you do in your videos, and you never know what you're going to come across. And that day I was kind of like shocked, kind of didn't know what to do with that information, so I kept it to myself. I think I still got close fishing buddies that are pretty mad that I didn't share that out with them, but that goes back to say what kind of jerks us flathead fishermen are when it comes to keeping secrets. We try to keep them close to ourselves. So
I really am breaking some protocols as your typical flathead fisherman really doesn't talk about. I mean, all fishermen have always been notoriously tight-lipped, but flathead fishermen are usually like a way beyond that. So I kind of like, when I started making these videos, I was like, should I be doing this? Like, am I breaking like a rule here? Like, are people going to hate me for this? But
I won't do bank fishing videos. No offense. I just won't do them because a lot of my productive bank spots are clear as day. So easy to identify. Yeah.
Well, that's another interesting part about my channel is almost every bit of it, and almost every single bit of it is completely public. The spot where I probably shouldn't say this, but the spot where I caught that 45-pound flathead, my truck was parked on a public access 30 feet behind where we were setting. And the main road was 50 feet off of that. Like, you can drive to that spot. You could fish out of your bed of your truck there. But yeah, I try to like reiterate that. That's kind of what I wanted my channel to be, is it's not, you don't have to have all the things that a lot of these YouTubers have and these big fishermen have to go catch nice fish. You can do it almost anywhere. You just got to know what bank you're looking for. You got to, if you take 4 pieces of the puzzle and you put 2 of them together, the chances are you're going to catch a fish if you got a bait sitting there long enough. So.
And if you don't even, if you're being too lazy or you don't know enough to figure that stuff out, just grind it out. That's how I learned.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it'll come to you. It'll hit you like a ton of bricks as to what you're doing. So at least I like to think it does. So, but then again, what do we really know? Let's see. Cody wants to know, how pressured are the flatheads in your river?
I would say they're fairly well pressured. I mean, if you set at a boat ramp, I would say within, which I've done this so many times, I've set at a boat ramp for 5-6 hours fishing, you're going to see 15-20 boats come through and go up or down river. So, I mean, and most of those people are fishing for flatheads. A few of them be fishing for channel cats, but most of them are fishing for flatheads. Probably two or 3 of them are going to be trot liners, bank liners. So, they're putting out a lot of hooks. But gosh, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of hard to say, but I would say it's probably an average pressure or maybe just above average pressure.
Okay. And so you just kind of answered my other question. I was going to ask you how navigable that river is, because that spot that you were scouting out that I saw in your video today, again, go check out that video. It's actually a pretty cool video. I got a kick out of that spot. It looked pretty shallow in some spots. Can boats get through there too?
Yeah, that was actually right before we had about an inch of rain dumped the last day or so. But yeah, that would be a pretty tricky navigable area. Like, it's really, that would be, you could definitely do it if you were in a 16-foot flat bottom, you could do it. But yeah, it's there right there through that stretch of river. There's probably a mile stretch through there. That is one of the worst places to try and navigate through that entire river. So. Yeah,
that's another part of the problem. It's covered with bank lines everywhere every weekend. So are they commercial guys where you're fishing?
No. Yeah, no, that's, yeah. I wouldn't say that I'm not going to say that I'm not an activist against them or anything. I don't agree with it. I think that the amount of pressure that's on our waters, period, but it's not just the number of people, right? Like, when you look at the gear we have today, when you look at, the line's better, the hooks are better, the reels are way better, the rods are way better. So you have fishermen. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't even going to go that far, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not the amount of pressure, it's the efficiency of the fisherman, and the intensity of that pressure is way greater per fisherman than it's ever been. So I kind of feel like we probably shouldn't be, I actually call them fire and forget methods. Like, I see them as fire and forget methods of fishing. And I pretty much all of them, I really probably think they shouldn't. Don't get me wrong, there are some tributaries in the back off the Mississippi that one boat a week goes down it. So it would be hard to make some legislation that doesn't touch those places. Mm-hmm. But still, the places like where I am, where it's a pretty busy river, they probably shouldn't be there. And shallow. I mean, I don't know how many trot lines we pulled out of props of our boats. I mean, so I mean, yeah, I disagree with them.
Oh, that's such an argument. I mean, we could get into that, and it would go on and on and on. And
yeah,
nobody
wins. Yeah.
I mean, when you were doing that stuff, coming up with your grandfather and stuff, were you guys eating flathead back in the day?
All of them, everything, every one of them.
They are tasty. I never went through them like that, but man, they taste good as far as catfish.
Yeah, they do.
That's the hard part, and I've never had any of a big one, but I hear the big ones taste just as good as the little ones.
They do. Yeah. That's their downfall. Unfortunately, they taste so good.
I found out about flathead probably a lot later way later in my fishing career. So I've had the opportunity to have flathead just once, and it was delicious. Every time I catch a little one, trust me, it crosses my mind, do I want to keep this one? And my my conscience kind of gets to me. We'll see what happens. I always tell myself that you should keep like one a year or something. So I
Sure.
don't know. See what happens. But other than that, you got a lot of people out there. Like I just saw somebody mention in chat that they hate to see anybody even eat one. Well, I mean, it is
Uh,
fish, it is food. I mean, cows are pretty darn cute and they're fun to ride at the rodeo, but I'm not going to stop eating a cheeseburger, to be honest with you. So
yeah. I mean, I completely understand where that person's coming from. That's where I am now. Like, I really just don't want to eat one. But uh, I absolutely believe people should take the opportunity to eat some fish that they catch. Absolutely.
look at this. We got Mr. Dieter Melhorn in the chat. He says, "Good show. I love flatheads too much to kill them. I'll never eat one." See, you got them. You got them out. You got all different kinds. So there you go.
Yeah.
And Jody's trying to butter us up for something. She wants something. Jody says, "Wow, both men are so well groomed up there. That's a handsome panel." I don't know about me. Dave's a pretty handsome looking dude. And just so you guys know, Dave is a veteran. So let's thank Dave by posting some star emojis in chat. If you guys love your veterans and you want to be grateful for them, let's show them a bunch of stars in chat. Let's see if we can't get that rolling for them. So you want to tell us a little bit about your military career because you deserve it for being in the military?
Spent 4 years in the Marine Corps, was stationed, I went to boot camp in Parris Island, and then I moved on to Camp Lejeune. I did 2 tours overseas and came home. So,
Thank
and
goodness.
now I've fished ever since, and I can't quit. That's the only 4 years of my life that I never dropped a line in the water. So those 4 years, I never fished. So,
well, thank you for giving up those 2 years because I don't think I could go 2 years without fishing. That would be rough.
4 years.
I'm sorry, 4 years. How'd you manage? Were you like chomping at the bit the whole time you were over there?
Well, we had a bay. I think it was called Onslow Bay, and it was saltwater. And a buddy was actually asking me if I wanted to go fish with him, and I think he let me cast a lure a couple of times, and I was like, I can't do it, man. I'm not doing this. But no, I was just really focused on what I was doing, and I just wanted to be a Marine at the time. And so
there's people posting all sorts of stars in chat. They appreciate you. And look at this, even old Carver Chewie's up there. All right, guys, we appreciate our vets. Definitely do. Lyle does about Dieter says, "Glad you stood in the yellow footsteps."
I'll never forget it.
There we go. We got a bunch of people. So what are your plans for your channel from going forward, Dave?
So I'm always brainstorming. I'm always looking. It's funny that Dieter is in here because there was like a 3-week stretch where I'm not kidding, like 2 days. Like I've already got it filmed, I've got it half edited, and Dieter would release a video covering the exact same topic, and I just got a kick out of it. But I couldn't go back, like I was already there. But anyways, so what I want to do now is I kind of want to focus a little bit more on channel cats for probably the next couple of videos. My last video was an informative video. Before that was an informative video. I really don't like to do that. I don't like to put 2 of them back to back. I like to do one and then like show you guys this is me putting that into practice. But I only had a couple of hours that day, so I really didn't have time to waste a whole day's worth of bait. But anyways, so yeah, I just really want to focus. I think the channel cats, for the most part, maybe a lot of the blues they're done with the spawn. Flatheads, they're dubious when they're not spawning. So yeah, I think I'm going to focus a little bit more on channel cats, a little bit more cut bait, a little bit more current seams, and so yeah, I think that's what we're going to do for the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident that if anybody, Dieter will tell you that, it's probably already been done out there on YouTube, and timing's another thing. It's just, you do what you're doing and just do it as best as you can. I don't think he'd have a problem with any of that anyways. Besides, he's got a pretty big audience to begin with. He ain't worried about little guys like you and I. So
I love his channel. I think it's great. I really like the cinematics. You can tell that he puts a lot of effort into his videos, and they're really informative. I've been watching them for years. There's good stuff.
Here's a little trivia for you and Dieter, because Dieter's here. Back with my other username, and I won't mention that on YouTube. I think I was the very first person to give him a super chat to try and egg him on to continue doing his podcast. So he's definitely him and a couple of other people that have been doing fishing podcasts for a long time kind of inspired me amongst other things. So I always liked listening to Dieter. So definitely. So look at that. He's even thanking you for the kind words. Man, Dieter's getting all sorts of love today. At Catfish Weekly, he was getting love from Dustin. Now he's getting love from you and I. Holy smokes. All right. Anybody got any questions for Dave in the chat? I'm sure they'll come up with something. So what are your goals, though, with your channel? Why don't we go that route? Where would you like to be in the
So when this all started, I really wasn't planning on I didn't really care about anything. I thought, I don't care about subs. I don't care about none of that stuff. But now that I'm kind of getting into it a little bit. At the beginning of this year, I was like, you know what? I'd like to just hit 1,000. I'd like to hit 1,000 and then never look at it again. But no, I don't know. I just want people to find my channel and think it and just walk away and get something out of it. I would love it if somebody caught a fish and they just because they just happened to hear something I said and they was like, I think I can do that. And they go and do that and they catch a fish. And if they posted that or commented on my video, hey, I did what you said and I ended up catching, that to me is like the best part. Like I love all the comments. Don't get me wrong. Everything's great. But when somebody comments or messages me and says, hey, because of what you said, I caught the biggest fish I've ever seen or something like that. Those are the best to me. Those are really.
I love when subs send me pictures. They get that pride going. They want to show off what they caught to you. And it's like, I love seeing the pictures, but I'm just me. That's kind of how I take it. And I'm going to break your heart here, Dave. Once you get to that 1,000, you're going to ask yourself, now what? You're going to come up with all sorts of other goals, and it never ends there. It's a drug kind of just like fishing. If you like it. So that could happen. But there's worse stuff that you could get involved in.
I had actually considered turning my channel in different directions. The Flatheads and Channel Cats, those will always be a fixture on my channel. But I thought about maybe changing like the whole atmosphere of my channel after 1,000. Once I say, yep, I did it, I might go into a different route. Might make my show a little bit more adult oriented or, because I kind of feel like when I'm making videos, I feel like Mr. Rogers half the time. And I really try to watch my mouth. Again, I'm a Marine, like we have mouths and stuff. So I really have to watch myself and I have to go back through the editing process and change everything and go, it just, it adds an hour of editing just with my potty mouth. So, but yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I had that problem. I had that problem too. I have, not that I'm different, but I, speak a little different when I'm off, out of the public eye. And it's definitely
everybody,
in that manner. And I've started saying words like, or sayings like holy Toledo. Now my wife laughs at me when I say them in real life. It's just ridiculous. No idea where I got that from. Lee Evans has a question. What's going on, Lee? He says, what's Dave's favorite species to catch? I think we know what that is, but we're going to ask.
That would be a flathead catfish. Since I was 5 years old, it's never changed.
They're just so darn cool. Big, brown, and ugly, like Spencer calls them.
They're monsters, right? Like little boys are obsessed with monsters. Like I love dinosaurs. You name anything that's cool that eats stuff. And the flathead is like one of the very few monsters we have left alive today. So there's nothing else out there eating giant live baits whole. So
at least not in freshwater.
Right? Yeah.
In freshwater. And when we say giant, we're talking like puppy heads, donkey baits, like everybody calls.
Yeah. There's no bait too big.
Just go fish live. If you're having fun, people will watch it and enjoy. And some good tip for some live fishing stuff. Let's see what else we got in here. Joe Simpson, how you doing? Dave, you should have another video showing how we prepare fish for eating down here in southern Indiana.
Oh my gosh. So I made one of those about a gar, and I actually recently just deleted it off my channel because it does violate YouTube's policy.
Well,
So
you can probably redone it. You can get around those. I can help you figure that out.
I might ask your help on that. But yeah,
Okay.
I am like super terrified pre 1,000 subscribers of doing anything like that. I would love to. I would love to. Like, I think when YouTube came out and had the purge, I think it was last year,
Yeah.
where they purged about 100 channels or so. I had just filmed a Flathead catch and cook, like just filmed it, and was getting ready to start editing it. And then all of my news feeds blew up and said, this channel got demonetized, that channel got destroyed, that channel, whatever. And I was like, no, but I would love to get into that. But yeah, I don't know how we'll do that.
Dieter's got some advice. He says, Dave, all over, changing directions. It might be a good idea. You have nothing to lose at the 1,000 sub mark.
Absolutely.
Keep trying what works. Keep trying what works until you find what works and go from there. That's what that's some of the best advice that I was given from some people who really are really successful in the sphere. So
yeah,
they just can't tell me how to find more time in the day. All right, Dave. Well, we're going to end it here. I appreciate you. I want to thank everybody in chat. I want to thank everybody who's listening to this on the podcast, the audio version. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can always download these episodes, listen to them in the car, listen to them while you're out fishing. It's cool. I do that too when I'm out fishing. Here's a hint: if you're a creator, wear earbuds so you can listen and videotape at the same time and not get a copy strike. There's a ninja tip right there, bud. So thank everybody for tuning in. Big thanks to my channel supporters, the members, also Multi-Bar Rod Racks. I appreciate you. Uncle Lou's Tackle, and also Port Barrington Marine. I couldn't do it without you. Make sure you guys check out the description. Go sub to Dave All Over. Check it out. You'll learn something. You're going to have a good time watching this stuff, and you're going to walk away a better fisherman. So everybody have a great night. Good night. Dave, thank you again.
Thank you, Mark. I really had a lot of fun.
All right, guys. Go check them out. Sub. Bye.